Good morning, and how is everybody?
Good morning, everyone. Woo-hoo.
Woo! We hope everybody's. Go ahead, Betsy.
No, I'm done.
Hope everybody's doing well in the thunderstorms and tornadoes and all of that have been going on across the United States here this week. Greg has rain right now. Do you have rain?
I do have rain right now. It was dry when Finn and I went out for our morning walk, but it was definitely overcast. It was so overcast that he let me sleep in an extra half hour.
Oh, wow. That's a good thing. So the same storm system is coming through here. But fortunately for us, I hope that we're not going to see any bad stuff this afternoon. We don't get it till 2 or 3. So the heat of Ontario today, the whole 10 degrees should, or I guess that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It won't affect anybody. So we hope everybody's doing well. Had a couple of people talking about the storms in the chat this morning. So I wanted to acknowledge that we did have some bad weather around the world today. And Fiordalisi is the very first person in the chat this morning.
Yeah.
They're talking about stuff. WikiTree, Az has been in the background doing her stuff, but Anne is here. Spencer Carr down in Augusta, Georgia. Let's see. Hillary Gadsby's here from beautiful sunny North
Wales.
Maybe I didn't look to see what the weather report was, but people always give us the weather in the morning.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. Okay.
Murray Maloney is here. Audrey Martin.
Yeah.
Well, and we gave a weather report. So let's see. As is here. WikiTree said Guten Tag. Azure Robinson says bonjour. Mary Sleppy. Hey, Mary. Yeah, I love Mary. Yes, I do. We need to get together for dinner or lunch or whatever that was. Again, Lisa Gervais is here. Hey, Lisa. Lisa got a big deal coming up. She's taking over some of the social media responsibilities.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, we appreciate that because it helps this show go further and wider. April Dennis is here from Idaho. Watching the sun come up over Sawtooth Ridge. Yeah, okay. We're not all of us can have that view. Northeast Ohio, scattered showers here, high of 73, and Fiordalisi. This is not the weather as you show. Just like tuning in at the last minute. Let's see. Judith Fry's here. Biscuits to Mags. Whoever posted that was wonderful, Anne. Klaus Jensen is here from Interlaken. Yoke is here. Chris Ferriello has also gotten a little something going on.
Lots of orange for you, Chris.
He is now a team leader with the social media part of the Ambassadors Project. Congratulations on that, and for all the wonderful work you're going to do as well, Chris. Ferriello. Judy Stutz is here. Susan H. Aussie M. It's raining down in Queensland, Australia. David Dodd is here. DuPont, Washington. Let's see. Victor is here. Victor Rose. Sandy Paddock is here. Biscuit. Yeah, I said it. Susie Carta. Lisa Gervais. Yes, my dryer is going. Give them that anecdote. Yeah. Aaron Soltsiak Robertson, Virginia Beach. Robert Cohen. Let's see. More biscuits, Mary Sleppy. If we get together, we got to go for breakfast. Maybe we should just meet in the morning, have breakfast, get our computers out, then have lunch, keep our computers out and have dinner. How about that? Yeah. Oh, who am I missing here? Aaron. I got Aaron. Emily L. Aussie M got them. Lynette Jester's here. Denver is here. Gerardus. Hello. And Kristen Anderson. And if other people show up, hello, and we're glad you're here.
And those who watch afterwards too.
And what?
And those who watch after.
Oh, yes. Those. But I mean, if you show up, we say your name.
That's true.
We can't really say their name after the fact.
Yes.
So.
Insert name here.
No, say your name a lot in your head while you're
That's
doing it. Do you guys have anecdotes in your family? Do you have little stories that are funny?
I was thinking about this week. I'm sure my brother's the one to ask because he just remembers a bunch of stories and he's a great storyteller.
Can you give him a call, please?
Yeah, that's right.
No, but I'll call in my lifeline, my brother, but I'm not going to call him now.
Yeah.
What about you, Betsy Co?
I knew you were going to ask me. And I couldn't come up with anything. The few times I did think about it. Sorry. I like Greg. I know there are some. They're in there somewhere.
There's one I can think of, and it's top of mind because I just got a bunch of photos from my cousin. My aunt passed away a couple of weeks ago, and so now there's only one sibling left on that. My mother was the first one to pass away many years ago, but there was a story when my mom and dad were fairly young, and they went smelt fishing at night with my uncle and aunt. But it's sort of not exactly legal, and they were chased by the it's not called a warden, but it's basically the local officer, and so they took off into the ditch and going cross country, and then eventually they didn't get captured or anything, but they came back pretty soaked and whatnot, and that was apparently my mom's first run-in with the law, and so they made a lot of fun about that.
Where were they? What were they fishing for?
Well, smelts or little fish. You get them you can get them at night, and they're very tasty. But apparently, when they were doing it, it was not an appropriate season or something for that.
It's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've got lots of little creeks out. We don't call them cricks like you might in Appalachia.
Cricks,
but,
yeah.
Out in our back 40.
Yeah. Well, we've got some anecdotes that we can talk about. Mm-hmm. Let's see if my present comes up.
Oh,
it's absolutely not coming up.
There you go.
Thank you. I have no idea why that's wasn't working for me.
That's
all right. There we go. Question of the week: what's funny anecdote in your family? We had about 16 answers. Not a lot of answers, but lots of good stories. And there are some longer stories in here. I'm going to just shoot a couple of short stories, not short stories, but shorter anecdotes. There you go. An anecdote is a story that comes to a point. That's basically what it is. It has a point to it. And so the anecdotes that we have, the very first one, 16 answers, 24 upvotes, Alexis Nelson. This is great. My first cousin once removed William Willie McGurk, and two other inmates constructed a makeshift 14-foot kayak using wood, plastic sheets, duct tape, and Formica. So they made this ship, and they escaped from San Quentin prison. But what's funny is they made their craft in the lumber shop. Nobody figured out that they were making a kayak. And they put the words Rub-a-Dub-Dub and Marin Yacht Club on it. A little, camouflage while they're working in the shop in front of everybody. They snuck it from the prison and into the water and attempted to paddle away as guards looked on. They were just hanging out, looking on. The craft was sound, but strong winds caused a giant swell to flood the boat. Started to sink before they made it past the edge of the prison property at San Quentin. Fortunately for them, they were wearing sweatshirts and hats that had been painted bright orange with a logo of Marin Yacht Club. They were pretty crazy, good about that. Mm-hmm. A guard spotted them clutching to their overturned craft. As they kicked to shore, he asked if they needed help. My cousin Willie held up his wrist and shouted, "We just lost a couple of oars, but my Timex is still running." So the point of this anecdote is that his watch is still running.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with escaping from prison.
Oh.
or the prison not noticing they were doing that. And so I pulled up his profile. It's a good one. He's McGurk 30. Apparently, I have cousins who were in prison.
There you go.
It's a nice profile.
That ties in nicely to my story.
Look, there's kayakers in front of San Quentin.
That's
I just
amazing.
want to note that in this picture.
Rub-a-dub-dub escape.
Yeah. And William Henry McGurk. There's lots of stuff. That does look like it. You ever seen the commercials for the tape where they say they can build a boat completely out of tape, and the boat runs? That's what that boat looks like.
Yes, it does.
It does. And there's the little flag they made. Pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
So did they film a Timex commercial afterwards?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they would have let them do that. So there's lots of old stuff. The Old Man and the Gun. That's the Casey. It's the movie that. So Casey Affleck, Sissy Spacek, and Robert Redford. And there's lots of really fun stuff on here. And so Inmate 1 again, for the second time, a jury has decided not to convict 2 of 3 San Quentin prisoners who sailed to freedom in an improvised canoe decorated with the words Rub-a-Dub-Dub Marin Yacht Club. Okay, so that's a fun one. All right.
That is neat.
That is a fun one. Check that one out if you want to. The second one I picked out was, this is one of my all-time favorites. If you've ever wondered why you could not find some ancestors on a census, this might explain it. The certification by Harry, Hery, Swearington, the marshal and census taker, indicates his frustration. I certify to be 64 pages and a piece of page inhabitants. I done as near in accordance with my oath as I could. The people was hard to get along with. Signed, H. Swearingen.
Oh,
that's They didn't want to get their census taken. So the anecdote of that story is
hard to get along with.
It's hard to take a census. And you may find census issues. Okay, number 3 is from Brian Quesnell. Continuing with a census theme, discovering a close relative was a guest of the state prisoner. In 1910 was a bit surprising. Fortunately, his occupation was listed as machinist as opposed to his previous role as burglar. All right. It was comforting to know that he was at least able to retain gainful employment while on involuntary sabbatical. I love the way Brian wrote that.
That's great.
Involuntary sabbatical.
Involuntary sabbatical.
I got to remember that. Involuntary.
That's a nice turn of phrase.
I got to write that down. Involuntary sabbatical. Let's see. Like my kid one time didn't want to go to the park.
Yeah.
And I made him get in the van. I was driving a Jeep at the time. I made him get in the Jeep, and I said, "Well, you have to go because I can't leave you in the house alone. It's against the law to leave a child alone in the house before they turn 13 in Canada. Period." So he had to go to the park, and he had a voluntary sabbatical in the Jeep while his brother and I played in the pool. What kid doesn't want to go to a pool? Chris Ferriello says, I once found a note in 1950 census in Newburyport that a few pages were taken by seagulls. Even back then, seagulls were jerks. Yes, they were. That's hilarious.
Isn't that funny?
Right, on to the last one. My great-grandparents had a little difficulty obtaining a marriage license, and this one's from Randall Marriott. By the way, they did get a license and were married in Christmas of 1890, but here it is. Let's see. Did I get the right one? Wait. Oh, no. I had it all pulled up. There it is. I found it.
Found it? Okay.
Jefferson Boone Thomas yesterday morning applied to the county clerk King for a marriage license with Miss Pearlie Bell Tucker. If you're going to get married, marry somebody named Pearlie. As both parties were underage, the applicant produced letters from the mother and the father of the young lady and his own father consenting to the issuance of the license. But as the handwriting in all cases was about the same, Mr. King thought best to have the applicant make an oath to the signatures. But he drew the line there, refused to make the oath, and has not yet got a license. Was it real? Yeah. The kid, they were afraid the kid was fraudulently getting permission to have this wedding.
That's right.
Apparently
Forging their
they did if they
signatures,
got
right?
married
Yeah.
a bit later.
What was the year on this?
1890. And in the information, it says they got married Christmas Day. So they were trying to get married on the 20th. This showed up in the 23rd, 1890, which back then items wouldn't show up for a week or so. So maybe they'll try to get married like the 15th or but they did get married Christmas Day. So congratulations. Yes. And the point of this is don't try and forge your parents' signatures on anything. You know, your parents have to sign that report card.
I once had a student do that in front of me. I was asking for a permission slip for a field trip, and I looked at it and I said, "We don't have a signature." And they're like, "Oh, here."
Yeah, not the brightest bulb in the package there. We're so glad you're molding their minds. I want to hear what you did about that.
Trying. I went ahead and called. I had parents on my phone, so you know.
Yeah.
Just,
I bet you got a verbal okay. I bet you have my parents on your phone.
Well, you know, you knew you were in trouble. There was a period when if things were bad enough in a band rehearsal and somebody was really acting up, I was like, okay. Hello, Mrs. Smith. Hi. I'm calling right now.
Yes.
Well, that was the question of the week. If you want to read the rest of them, please feel free to. There are a couple of novella in there that are pretty good. So, anecdotes.
Great. So, if we move on to the question of the week about the profiles, the profile question is: which national parks champion are you most closely connected to? Building on the theme, because of course Earth Day was this week on the 22nd. And so what better way to celebrate Earth Day than to go to a national park and enjoy nature in its grandeur? And so the two people who are part of the WikiTree combat, the question is, which one are you more closely connected to? Teddy Roosevelt, who promoted national parks in the national park system, or South African President Paul Kruger, who is the whose name is based on the Kruger National Park in South Africa. So since all of these profiles are all land-based and park-based and whatnot, I thought, what better way to celebrate that than with a map? So I created a little map, and you can, I'm just going to put the URL right here on the screen, but you can also, we're going to put it in the chat. And let's see. Can someone put that in the chat? I think Azure was going to drop. It's also linked. I think Lazarus said Azure pinned it to the top of the chat, so it should be right there. So easy to grab. Got it. Okay. So one of the cool things you can do in Google Maps, if you're logged in with a Google account, you can actually go and you can make up your own custom maps. And I've done a couple of these before. So I did one for this, and I put little markers for each of the maps, each of the locations for all of the profiles that we're going to talk about today. And you can also color code. If you go to when you click on any in the legend, you can actually click on the paint can and then color code them. And so I've color coded the two primary ones, the Theodore Roosevelt National Park or the Kruger National Park. And so our interactive part of this piece will be to ask you to write down which of those parks are you closest to, physically closest to.
Wow.
So I suspect, again, it's going to be a little lopsided, but I'm hoping that there's some people who are closer to, I can tell you.
Upstate New York or Pennsylvania, where's the one over there closest to me?
No, of the two red ones, of the two primary ones.
Theodore
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I am going to ask the next question, of course, which is which of all the parks are you closest to? So, are you closer to Theodore Roosevelt National Park or Kruger National Park is question number 1. And then question number 2, the follow-up one of all of the parks, which one are you close? But we'll answer that one later.
I have a comment to make. You know,
Sure.
we had Leanne Kruger on our person of the month.
Yes.
That might be related to her husband's family, the Kruger National Park. Just saying.
Oh.
Just saying. They have lots of stuff going down on South Africa. So.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. So if you click on any one of those ones, one of the things you can do is you can get directions or view, and then you could actually get an actual distance. And you'll notice I added the link to the profiles for each of those little drops.
Greg.
Yeah.
You never cease to amaze. You thought of everything.
You can click on this link and then go straight to Theodore Roosevelt's profile.
I believe the WikiTree person answering Teddy would be Az.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Oh, is Az answering questions for us?
I think so.
Oh, that's good.
Well, she can participate.
Of course. Of course she is. So let me go through. There's lots of profiles. It seems every week they add 2 or 4 more profiles to the ones to go through. But anyways, Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt Jr., apparently distant cousin of mine, born 27th of October, 1858 in New York County. There's a New York County in New York State.
That's a historic county, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is New York City in New York County in New York State?
Yeah. but not anymore, right? Because
okay.
Now New York City, we have Brooklyn, which is in King County, and I think there's a Manhattan. No, I'm not sure, but it's a historical thing for sure.
Okay. So
the trivia that we know is just amazing.
What's that?
The trivia that we know is just amazing.
So you mean New York City currently is so big, one county can't even contain it? Is that true?
Yes. I'm sorry, I got distracted by something.
And I didn't hear you because the dryer was buzzing.
The dryer was going. Okay. Well, there we go. Oh, I didn't realize that Teddy's mother was Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Well, that's a coincidence.
Isn't that wild? There's a time loop for you. But not that Martha Stewart.
No.
Martha Stewart Bullock. Isn't that that just jumped out at me right there? I didn't prepare that remark. That was just off the cuff, as many are. Anyways, we have a nice succession table here because, of course, Theodore Roosevelt had many prominent positions, but he was a governor of New York, the 33rd governor of New York, and then the 25th and the 26th president of the United States. And then he was anyways, the biography is huge. One of the things I like about a number of these profiles this week is the inclusion of the pictures throughout. So there's lots of needs here. So here's a teddy bear, of course. His biography starts with a quote. It's a fairly long quote, but basically it's that he credits the man. Basically, he's all about the people who do the work or are in the conflict, and not those who just write about it, or not critics and whatnot. So it's the doer that deserves the glory, and not those who just observe from afar. His parents, again, Theodore Roosevelt, he didn't like the name Teddy, apparently, itself, but they called him Teedy, was his nickname inside his family. And he had his closest sister, he called her Bamie, even though her name was Anna. So fun little piece of trivia there. His first wife was Alice, but very sadly, both after their first child was born, who was also named Alice, his mother and his wife both died on the same day, just 2 days after the birth of that first child. Isn't that sad?
Awful.
Yeah.
That's too much for
that is just too much. But he did marry again, and then had 5 other children with his second wife. Considered a true American hero, an example that people should live by. So the profile, of course, goes on about his presidency, and so I was a little confused here. He says he became vice president of the United States, and on the 14th, when President McKinley was assassinated, he became okay. So he did become president after the assassination. Is that? I wasn't sure if when I first read this, I was confused on whether he became vice president. He like moved up, but I think he moved into the top spot. Am I reading that right? After
into the top spot of what?
Becoming president after McKinley was assassinated.
Oh yes, if he was vice president, then he would be next in line. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. Now I'm when I first read it, there was too many clauses and I was confused. But you're right. So he was vice president when McKinley was president.
Yes, and then therefore,
and so when he was assassinated, he became the president. There we go.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. First world leader to go to the Court of Arbitration at The Hague. That's pretty cool. And then I love this little editorial cartoon.
He was a good character to put in editorial cartoons.
Yeah. Oh, and see, look at this nice feature of WikiTree Plus. You can zoom in on the thing. Of course, if you don't have it centered right, you lose their head. There we go. And then, okay, anyways, he was, but he was, why he's included in this, of course, is because of his promotion of the national park system. And then the other person who is also the primary profile is Stephanus Johannes Paulus Kruger from South Africa, born in Bulhoek, Steinsburg District, Cup Colony. And then passed away, and that's in 1825, passed away the 14th of July, 1904 in Clarence, Switzerland. And he was the third state president of the South African Republic way back 1881 to 1900. So he would have been president during the Boer War, I'm guessing. There's a nice family photo there, and statue of him in the church square. And again, this profile is really nicely done with the photos interspersed throughout. Lots of them there. And really cool how some of it is written right in the, I don't know if that's Dutch or actually Afrikaans. Could be either. So someone might correct me on that. But neat that to have the native language there in which it was written. And that's it. There's not a huge flow of the biography there. It's very short, but it does refer to a fuller biography on Wikipedia. But he has a national park named after him, which is in South Africa, as you can see right there. And then moving on, George Catlin. He is one of the few that doesn't have a national park named after him or directly associated with him. So on the map, I linked his birthplace, which is Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Wilkes-Barre.
So close that up. So one of the cool things, if you're on the map and you've got the legend here, when you hover over a place in the legend, you can see it highlights. Okay, so if I'm highlighting, so can you see how Wilkes-Barre is highlighted there?
It's not popping up. Well, I'm seeing, yes, Wilkes-Barre is circled in white.
Yes, that's what I mean.
That. Okay.
Yeah. So if I go back to Teddy Roosevelt Park, you can see it's
right.
Circled.
Yes.
It's that white halo around it that sort of is highlighted.
Yeah, that's nice. It pops.
Yeah. Yeah. And now if I were to click on it or double click on here, it would zoom right into that. But then of course I'd lose the global view and have to zoom back out and give you all motion sickness. So I won't do that. I will just go over here, highlight it on the eastern seaboard of North America there. But he promoted parks, and he actually did a lot of sort of roughing it and investigation. He's most famous for being a painter, author, and traveler, specializing in portraits of Native Americans in the Old West. And there's a number of those portraits that are included in the bio. Very nice, very nicely done. Amazing work. He worked with he ventured through and worked with a number of different tribes, 18 different tribes, including the Pawnee, Omaha and Ponca in the south, Mandan, Hidatsa, Cheyenne, Crow, Assiniboine, and Blackfeet to the north. During later trips along the Arkansas, Red, and Mississippi rivers, visits to Florida and the Great Lakes, he went all over the place. Produced more than 500 paintings. But sadly, at one point, he was forced to sell, looks like 607, all of his paintings, which were 607 at that point, due to personal debts. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
But anyways, amazing work, amazing artist. And then passed away in New York City, in 1872.
I love that the profile has so many examples of his work to give.
Yeah. And
very detailed.
Yeah. So there's some there's some DNA connections. There's a Y DNA connection to him. One of our WikiTreeers has done a Y DNA test and is connected. And someone is close enough to have some autosomal DNA. So that's kind of
nice.
Cool. And I would think here there was a link to a free space page of his works. There it is. Yeah. Some of that can be found on the WikiTree. So if we click on that, we've got a free space page of more paintings and stuff and links to another. So more things to investigate. Marjorie Stoneham, the Grand Dame of the Everglades. So again, Everglades in Florida here. So that's that little marker is not in Cuba. We could zoom in a little bit to see. It's just in the southern tip of Florida. That's where Everglades National Park is.
Is it on the coast? It looks maybe.
Everglades National Park goes all of that green is the park.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. So like in a lot of places, like Google has to put a pin somewhere. So like in a town, it's usually where the city hall is. If you just right. So this might be where the park office is. I'm guessing.
And if you say, is it waterfront? Well, it's pretty swampy, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Alligators. Don't get out of your car on the side of the road if you get stuck.
Right. That's right. Well, it's most fun. We actually did a trip when we took our kids on a trip to Florida at one point, and we did the hoverboat thing through, which is kind of neat. Is it hovercraft? Hover,
the one with a big fan on the back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's that's not. I don't know what they call those, but those are airboats, I think.
Okay.
Somebody can correct me on that. A hovercraft actually hovers above, and those are just really flat boats that just skim over the tops of those alligators.
Right. Yeah. So Marjorie is the Grand Dame. She was an American journalist, writer, feminist, and environmentalist. And her quote is, "Be a nuisance where it counts." So basically,
I like that.
I know. Like basically, be the grit in the machine when you need to, exact some change. So apparently,
battles.
What's that?
Pick your battles.
Pick your battles. Yeah. Back in 1917. She, with 3 other women, made the trip to the Florida state capitol and spoke about women's suffrage. But it was a big room, men sitting around with spittoons between every 2 or 3 of them. They ignored them, and all they did was spit in the spittoons, didn't pay attention to us at all. Very sad to hear. But she fought that battle. So according to this, on the 14th Amendment to the Constitution was passed in 1920, allowing women to vote. But Florida did not ratify that until 1969. So does that mean that women couldn't vote in Florida, or they just didn't acknowledge the fact that women were voting in Florida until 1969?
I think it has to be the first one. I can't believe that. No, because the U.S. Constitution would supersede.
Okay.
Right? I would think.
Women couldn't have bank accounts until the 70s in their own names.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
That doesn't sound like it could be true. That just seems so ridiculous.
The husband had to be a co-signer.
Wow. That's wild.
Or father.
Anyways, she wrote a book, The Everglades River of Grass, and that has been continually in print. And anyway, she's been a huge component or proponent for the park, and won some awards because of her work. So great work, Marjorie. Okay, next we have Sueko Kunitomi, or Sue, born the 6th of January 1923 in Little Tokyo in Los Angeles, and passed away at the age of 83 in May of 2006. She was a Japanese internee in the World War II, teacher, activist, and longtime chair of the Manzanar Committee, which established the annual Manzanar pilgrimage and obtained National Historic Site status for the former concentration camp. So, yes. Now, this is this piece of history. Canada also interned Japanese Canadians, Japanese nationals, during World War II, and it's not something that's often taught in history classes. And the same sort of thing did happen to our neighbors to the south, in the States as well. And many of those people, at least in Canada, and I suspect in the States, really did not have ties to Japan and the war, but just because of their heritage. So that is something that I think there has been an official apology in Canada. I don't know if something has come out in the States, an official apology or not. But anyway, she obviously was an activist and made people aware of that. And now there's a National Historic Site to that. And that is located, let me zoom out again. Whoop. Look for the halo, and there it is, California.
Little north of LA. Okay.
Yeah. Then we have George Bird Grinnell, born in 1849 in Brooklyn, died in 1938 at the age of 88 in Manhattan. And he was an anthropologist, historian, naturalist, and writer. And he founded the National Audubon Society.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Named after, of course, famous naturalists. I think it's John Audubon, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah, he founded the National Audubon Society. And he is connected to the Glacier National Park. So his, at one point I opened up his Wikipedia article, and he was a proponent and traveled to Glacier National Park, which is, there it is, north Montana, it looks like, north of Montana. And then we go over to Holland for Anthony Georg Kruller, born the 1st of May, 1862 in Rotterdam, passed away the 5th of December, 1941 in Ede, Gelderland, Netherlands. He was a Dutch businessman known as the founder of the state of De Heuveleva, and played a significant role in the establishment of the Netherlands School of Economics, and after whom the Kruller-Müller Museum is named. And the De Heuveleva National Park is located in the province of Gelderland, where he lived. 5,400 hectares of that. And again, you can see that on the map if I zoom out enough. Actually, let's zoom into it. So you can see it right there, the heart. And has Yoke visited this park is a question.
I was just wondering the same thing.
Tell us, Yoke, what's the park like? Have you been there before? Moving on, we have Stephen Mather, distant cousin, born in 1867 in San Francisco on 1860. No, if it was 76, it would be on the centenary, but it's not quite the centenary, right? The 4th of July, 1867. 3 days after Canada became a country, so that's kind of cool, which would have been July 1st, 1867, and passed away the 22nd of January, 1930. And he was another conservationist, but also an industrialist and president of the Thorkelson Mather Borax Company. He became a millionaire. Moved to New York, but he did lots of work in the Shenandoah, the Great Smoky Mountains National Parks. And his map pinpoint is a wilderness area that was named after him, which is showing. Where are we here? There it is. In Washington. Interesting. And then we have Cara Moana Elizabeth McKean, born in Vernon, or the 23rd of June in New Zealand, and then passed away on the 10th of June 2006 in Cobden, Victoria, Australia, at the grand age of 101. Gotta love to see that.
Nice.
Isn't that neat? 101. She became the first female national park ranger in Victoria, Australia. Isn't that cool? First female park ranger. She's a collector, conservationist, preservationist, naturalist, and 2 species of fungus have been named after her.
Oh, if I had a fungus named after me, it would be perfect.
I'm not sure if you had to pick something to be named after you. I'm not sure fungus would be top of my list, but you know, you take what you can get.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so if we zoom out to Australia, we can see where Victoria, of course, is the state just above Tasmania, in the southeast. There we go. Then we're moving on to John Muir. Born.
Hey, great.
Yes?
Can I ask you a question? Just going back to Stephen Ting Mather.
Oh,
Was
sure.
there is a high school in Chicago that is named after him. So did he have any Chicago connections? I didn't hear you say.
It's mentioned here in his wiki that there was that was a place. Where's his Chicago? Let's see. He was born in San Francisco, died in Massachusetts. He might have. He might have driven through. But let's see if his ancestors had.
But he didn't find any alligators on the drive.
I hope not.
Fairfield. No, it doesn't look like there. Let's see.
Because I double checked, it could be a different. It said Stephen T. Mather, and then I dug a little deeper, and sure enough, it was Ting, Tyng. So it is named after him.
Yeah. Let's do a search for Chicago. Control F, Chicago. In 1840, he moved with his wife to Chicago, and that's where they established a distribution center for his company.
There you go.
Okay, mystery solved.
So his business started in Chicago, it looks like. He was active in many civil groups, including the Chicago City Club and the Municipal Builders Club League. There we go. So he was an upstanding Chicago citizen. Good question. Then John Muir from Scotland. Dunbar,
okay, we've got Murray Maloney, who is giving us the entire story.
Oh,
so I'm posting it there, and then there's a second version. There's a continued part.
Oh.
He came to Canada to join his younger brother to escape the draft for the American Civil War.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know if that's in his profile, but thank you, Murray.
Thank you. I don't think it was.
Fascinating. But
it should be. This is John Muir. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling the story, John. Or Murray.
Murray.
There we go.
Murray, Muir, John. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So that's the story of his life. Thank you. And the Canadian connection. How he fits in here, of course, is his work as an environmentalist, local lover of the Alpine Club and the Sierra Club. On the map, there is a national monument devoted to him, which is in California. Muir Woods National Monument.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there a monument in the monument, or is it just the park?
Oh, well, there. Let's see what we can do. We view it in Google Maps. Will that show us?
Can you do grab the little man and make him stand in front of it?
Where's my little man?
Yeah.
Come on, little man.
If there's not a road, though, it won't do it because the car can't travel into the middle of the woods.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's a picture right there.
There we go.
Gorgeous.
National Monument.
Look at that.
That's pretty good. Muir Beach, according to Lynette, was a nudist beach in San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lynette, how do you know? That's pretty. That's pretty.
Look, this couple saying, okay, look away. Google's taking our picture. Look away.
Yeah, I don't think the Google car was allowed on that path.
No. Wow, this is very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the little man there. Cool.
Some clover.
Yeah. So Queen Victoria even makes it into the list of profiles this week. Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, Empress of India, and so on and so forth. Again, of course, a nice profile. And I think I'm pretty sure we've talked about this family a few times.
Nice. Possibly.
So I will not belabor the point. Again, it's still a lovely profile. And her claim to fame in this, of course, is Victoria Falls in Africa was named after her, among a whole pile of other things around the world, including the capital city of British Columbia, Victoria, BC. But anyways, here is Victoria Falls in Africa, which is actually in Zimbabwe, I believe. Is that right? Yes, it is Zimbabwe. And then the final profile of the week is Brigadier General Charles Denton Young, born on the 5th of March, 1864 in Mason, Kentucky, and passed away the 8th of January, 1922 at 57 in Lagos, Nigeria. He was only the third African-American graduate to graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point. And he was the very first Black man to achieve the rank of colonel in the United States Army. He held many commands and was the highest ranking black officer in the United States until his death. And then 100 years after he died, he was posthumously promoted to Brigadier General.
Nice.
For his accomplishments. Yeah. His beginning was difficult. He was born during the Civil War, and his parents were enslaved. Two enslaved parents, Gabriel Young and Armintia Bruin. His father was able to escape and join the Union Army during that Civil War. And then afterwards, his family moved to Ohio, where he attended school. And then he was appointed to West Point, graduated, third Black man to do so, and then went on. He returned to active duty during the Spanish-American War and was in command of the 10th Cavalry that charged up San Juan Hill. So that's a fairly famous battle, isn't it? The Battle of San Juan Hill. He was appointed the superintendent of 2 national parks in California, Sequoia and General Grant's National Parks. So hence his inclusion here. And then he married Ada Mills. He had 2 children. He was assigned the Pancho Villa expedition in New Mexico. And then he was he was appointed to the United States military attaché to Liberia, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, and then passed away in Nigeria and buried in the Arlington National Cemetery. So quite an impressive man and very nice profile for him there. And his map, actually, his home, let's zoom in back to that, over here. His home was dedicated as a national historic site by President Obama, I think it said. Where was it here? Yeah, President Obama designated his house a national monument, the Charles Young Buffalo Soldiers National Monument, to commemorate his life and the lives and service of the Buffalo Soldiers. So,
that's what the park the location that I'm closest to.
That's the one you're closest to. Cool. So, have people been telling us where they're closest to?
Yes. Yeah, you can go back and reread the chat later on.
I'll read it for myself. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Greg. It's fun as always. And next week we're talking about poets, from parks to poets.
Parks to poets.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, well, let's see. Let's switch gears to photos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you see the full. No, let's see. There, you should be able to see now the full photo. Yeah. So this was contributed by Emily Ledford, and these are her paternal grandparents, Nina and Robert Cole. They were married for 58 years with 12 children. 12.
Wow.
And lived their whole lives in Lafayette, Tennessee. I hope I'm saying that's correctly. They passed away hand in hand on December 6th, 2010.
They both passed away at the same time.
That's what it says.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I know. That just touched me when I read that this morning. So beautiful, beautiful photo. Thank you, Emily. And then our next photo, this lovely couple, is Edison Williams contributed this and says that this is William Wallace McKinley Jr. and his wife, Leila Ruth Peeler McKinley, around 1969. They were married around 1932, and William McKinley died June 1978, and Leila was interred next to him in Pearsall, Texas, when she passed in 2007. So not exactly sure of the relationship between Edison and this couple, but it's a very, very
Look
sweet.
At girls.
Nice.
I know.
Very cool.
Lovely. And then our third photo.
We've got 4 today.
Oh, do we? Oh, yes, that's right. Thanks, Max. You'll be the big finish. Okay, our next photo is a historic one. Oh, and it doesn't look like I can click on it. It was just inserted into there. How's that? Can we?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So John Thompson contributed this. He said, climbing the tree in search of a couple's photo, I find the portrait of Sarah, who is Monk, M-O-N-C-K 168, Mason, and her husband, Robert Mason. This is his 6th great-grandparents, whom he shares with many other 6th great-grandchildren. Of this lovely couple. So, and people in the comments were wondering, I wonder how long they had to sit still.
Really?
And his arm must have been tired holding it up like that.
I know.
And what is he doing?
He's got his hand on the back of her chair, but it's
there's a chair there.
Very much dark in the shadows.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
and our final couple.
And I will stop sharing. Over to you, Max.
That is my mom and dad.
Oh.
And I'll tell you where we are, and you'll say, where are all the people? This was in Niagara Falls, Canada, which is usually covered up with people, but it was before the end of COVID. And it was the first time I had seen them in 2 years. So I drove up, and that is early bird Galden. So Earl Galden and Joan Galden. I snapped that picture. I thought it was just adorable.
Oh, that's sweet.
All right. And they're living, so this should really be unlisted, but we're not.
Okay. Well, you're not showing their faces, so I don't
No, they're not in witness protection program. Thanks, Betsy.
We're looking for an older man with gray hair.
And a lady in a red coat.
Yeah,
that's
what's
right.
funny is that we all did the zip line at Niagara. My mom, her friend Jan, and and we were all wearing. I had on my WikiTree coat, a big red orange coat. So we all had on orange or red, and so on the zip line, it was kind of cool looking.
Neat.
Yes, my mom did the zip line. She did.
That is amazing.
Good for her. I've not done a zip line. I'm not really great with heights, so.
The zip line at Niagara is pretty cool. It doesn't actually go over the falls.
Okay.
It goes along the side of the canyon.
Okay.
The ravine. So it goes along the side of it. So you have a gorgeous view, though, unfettered view of the falls.
Yeah. Okay.
And when we were there, somebody had jumped into the river and was floating down the river underneath us. And I was like, should we tell somebody about this?
Yeah.
If he goes down too far, he's going to get drowned.
Well, because you know that I have family in Niagara Falls, like from my past. And
Right.
In Canada or the U.S.?
In Canada.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And my grandfather was born there, and his mother was born there. And so, I see a research trip in my future. I've been, but it was before I was a genealogist. So
right.
Maybe
cool.
I'll do
this is my third time, I think, was that trip. Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
Neat.
Cool. All right. So in lieu of a tip, we are going to return to last week's discussion of invitations to living people on WikiTree, what to do with living relatives you may have created maybe 5 years ago, what to do. And so I have a series of questions that were relayed to me, and we're going to answer them. And then if there are more that come through the chat, then we'll answer those too. And I believe Azure was going to post a series of help pages. So the help page on invitations, living people, anonymous placeholders, which is the new thing for a living person who declines to become a WikiTree family member, and deletion of profiles. So let's look at these questions and we'll see if we can make it clear. And I'll be hopping around to various pages depending on what we need to reference. So first question is, what if you have an elderly relative who, say, is visually impaired, does not use the computer, but said that I could add her? So in reading all of the help pages, thank you, Azure, thank you very much. In reading the help pages, what it allows for is for you to only add a living person who is your legal dependent. So to me, that implies children. I suppose it's possible if you had power of attorney for an elderly relative that they might be your legal dependent. But in this case, I would say, unfortunately, you would, even though she says that you can add her, you're going to have to do an anonymous placeholder for her. Would you agree in that interpretation, Greg Maggs?
I think so.
Yeah.
It looks like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that question. What about my elderly relative that is still living, whom I added on WikiTree 5 years ago? So if you go to that profile, I assume you're the profile manager, you will see a banner up at the top with an exclamation point, and it will say, please invite this person to WikiTree. And so then you would go into edit mode, And in the opening, information for name and dates and locations, there's an email field, and you would put the person's email address in there, and then they will get an invitation. And we did talk about this last week. On the page, the help page for invitations, you will see a sample of what they will receive. So if the person responds by creating password, a WikiTree account within 30 days, great. You'll proceed merrily along. If they do nothing within 30 days or decline the invitation, then the profile will convert to an anonymous placeholder profile, which basically just either says anonymous Smith or maybe an initial like M Smith, and it will have a relationship to so we know who. So a person knowledgeable about the family will know who they are, but otherwise there will be no information. I just converted an elderly relative of mine from an active profile. I just don't want to bother her. She does have email, but I don't want to trouble her with this. And so I've made her into an anonymous profile placeholder. It's easy. There are instructions on the anonymous placeholder help page. And basically you just remove all the dates and the locations. I change it to a first letter. The relationships are preserved. And then public view, it just says Living Smith. And that I'm file manager.
Got a question. I got two questions. First one is, are older profiles, will they not automatically convert to anonymous? And it's a statement from Aussie M. I just want to verify it's correct. She says older existing profiles will not automatically convert to anonymous. And't my dad's 93, but he signed up for WikiTree probably 10 years ago. And he's probably not as active, but I think that he probably does scan because he likes to keep up with what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah. So he probably does log in occasionally.
I don't think that I think you're in your dad's case because he signed up for an account.
And my mom,
yeah, they're both fine. It's people who do not accept the invitation, they decline it, or they don't respond.
So what about older existing profiles?
I am not clear in reading through everything. I'm not clear if there's going to be like a sweep of the system.
If they're going to clean up the issue.
Yeah. Gotcha. They're going to, I mean, I guess there would be a way to do it. Like I said, my older relative's profile had a template at the top. So, clearly they could pull out all the living profiles who are not members.
Right.
It could be done. I don't know.
Who manages the declined invitation profile? That's from Sandy.
Yes. So that is the third possibility is, I see. No, declined. Manage. In that case, if the invitation is declined, then it becomes an anonymous placeholder and you are still the profile manager. I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
And we do have an answer. Aussie M said that the G2G post said existing profiles will not automatically convert, invited or not. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Aussie. And then the other possibility is that the person could delete the invitation, but that is maybe not the best course of action, because then maybe somebody else in the family could come along, 9 months later and say, oh, hey, look, so-and-so doesn't have a father, and then re-add you, re-invite you. So if you really just want it one and done, don't be bothered again, just decline the invitation or let it go for 30 days.
Right.
Don't delete it.
Yeah.
Okay. What if I created a profile for my living cousin and they decided to join WikiTree a year from now? Will that be a duplicate or a problem because of me? And I think in that case, you would just have to do a merge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. It's not a problem. Merges happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How does this affect my CC7 if a profile becomes an anonymous placeholder? It doesn't. They'll still count.
Mm-hmm.
So not to worry about that. If you're at 1,000, if you're at 2,000 and you're worried about slipping to 1,999, fear not.
They're not going to take away the badge?
No.
Do I really have to delete all the living relatives that I've already created years ago? No, just invite them.
Mm-hmm.
And which, depending on the size of your living person network, might take a little bit of effort.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, please do invite them. Make that gesture of giving them the right to accept or decline. Where can I find this new policy? So I think the G2G post was already in the chat. Yes, and it's also outlined on the help. Thank you, Azure. On that G2G post, as well as the help pages, is where you can review the official words. And finally, what age can I add a living profile that I have permission to do so? For example, my kid, 18 years old. Well, so I'm going to switch over to, there is a help page for help children on WikiTree. So again, referencing the statement that you can add a person if they're your legal dependent with their permission. That would apply to children. So if they're 18, they can, be active on WikiTree themselves. If they're 18, then they really fall into the category of, someone who should be invited.
It's amazing that you have Kismet with April Dennis, because she asked that question right before you started to answer it. So
really?
I threw her question up so we could see her question.
Uh-huh.
Leave them.
My living kid. Well, whoops.
Oh, I'll put it back up.
Okay, thank you. So April, I would say invite them, and then they can either accept and become co-managers of the profile with you, or they can just remain as anonymous placeholders.
Got a couple more questions. When did this come into effect?
April 1st. So just about a month ago.
And April, here is Azure's working in the background here. Here's a children on WikiTree note for you to check out on the help pages.
Yep.
The other question, I'm going to leave that up while I read this to you. How much email do living relatives that are just family members, not active, get from WikiTree? I don't know if they get any. My parents talk about getting emails and stuff, but
right.
I mean, technically.
Right, exactly. I would say if your relative is being disturbed by that, just have them go to help them go to this part of the profile where they can manage preferences. Right, in the genealogist section of the profile, you can control as well as settings. You can control how much communication you get. There's the genealogist section, and then settings is under my WikiTree. So
there's another one. This is an unconnected question.
Yes.
Ready to go there? How do you correct the relationship from uncle to brother? I keep trying, and it goes right back.
Okay. Denver, I wonder if you can come to the new member Q&A by Zoom tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Come on, jump on that. Give us the link real quick.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that link ready.
And Sandy is giving as some love there.
Denver, I'm sure that it's probably something very easy to fix, but it's a little hard to diagnose just, without seeing it. So.
Lisa Gervais is offering an anecdote, not an anecdote, an
Suggestion.
antidote. Woo!
Antidote.
Denver. Try removing both parents from one person, then add the correct parents.
You're
welcome. Not from me, but from Lisa.
So if you have any more questions, the best place to throw those out there is to answer the G2G post where the changes were. Thank you, Azure. When it was initially announced on April 1st.
And is this going to be a topic at the tree tours this week?
Yes, which is on Monday, Tuesday.
Tuesday at 11, I think.
Tuesday at 11. There will be further conversation and deeper dive with Azure. And Greg, are you going to be there?
I think I have Sophia.
Oh, yeah, you're traveling. Okay.
No, he has Sophia.
I'll have Sophia.
Or are you traveling?
You're traveling the next morning.
Sophia, are you?
What's that?
Go ahead.
No, I have Sophia on Tuesday, and then I'll be traveling on Wednesday to go to a math conference, folks. So I'll be all mathed up for next Saturday.
Oh, we can't get enough math.
Too much mathing.
And to wrap things up, I do have one ancestor to celebrate. Let me start sharing that person's. Where is he? Okay. Let me celebrate your
There's the WikiTree Tours post.
Thank you very much. So this ancestor is Dennis L. Ray. And it's I saw Judith Fry in the chat a little at the beginning, and then she said, "Gotta go. My mom wants to go to a yard sale." So, Judith, I hope you're able to see this on the replay. So this is her dad's cousin, and his connection to April. Wait a minute. His connection to April. Oh, is that he was married? Okay,
yeah, I was going to say there must be a marriage date.
Yep, on April 9th, 1960. And Dennis was the son of his great aunt, Axie Fry Ray. I didn't realize that the Frys have very strong genes until I met Dennis. The first time I saw Dennis, I nearly cried. He looked exactly like my grandpa Fry, whom I miss a lot. Not only did Dennis look like Grandpa Fry, he walked like him, sounded like him, and then had the same mischievous grin. It was like having a small piece of my grandpa again. Boy, could I tell you stories about Dennis Ray. Not all of them good, but funny. Mom and Dad told me about the time they visited Dennis in Chicago. He said, "Watch this," and stepped in front of a car. Mom said he did this to collect from the driver's insurance. Later, he became a preacher on the radio. He had many jobs over the years. He was in the U.S. Army for a while and retired from the railroad. The last time we visited him, my mom asked Dennis' wife what he was currently working as, and his wife answered, "I don't know, I don't ask." Dennis said he was working at a transmission shop. I like his wife's answer better. So, I don't think, no, he's an Appalachian. It's biscuits. Biscuits. And I don't think we have any pictures. So thank you so much, Judith, for sharing Dennis with him. I love the fact that he was such a strong resemblance to your grandfather.
My cousin, my second cousin, has a grandson who is the spinning image of my grandfather.
Oh,
and every time I look at him, I'm like, I want to hug him, but I didn't know my grandfather when he was a teenager.
Oh,
but I've just got pictures of him. So yeah,
wow.
That's cool.
You know what's a really cool thing about spitting images? If you put them together in a line of photos.
You don't say, Greg.
So, in case you didn't know, there was actually a new app on the scene. I actually...
No.
Yes, way. And I showed this off, and I forgot that I didn't show it off here at the roundup, but I at one of our check-ins during the Connectathon, we talked about the Photo Lines app, and so it's one that I've added. If you go to open up your profile, and go to Find Apps, it's listed on this page here. And shortly, it will also be listed on the flyout from the WikiTree browser. Oh, there it is. It's right there. It is there. I just needed to update. It's also there in the flyout from the WikiTree browser extension. So you put in your app, you log in, you put in your ID, and then what it'll do is it loads your profiles, and then you can customize. So here, there's a little preview of what your profile looks like, and this is my Douglas line, my paternal line. So I'm going to put the word Douglas in there. So you see it changes that. You can add things like showing the lifespan, or if you're living, then it'll just put your birth date there. You could include full names if you wanted. And one feature I added for Megs this week is I added the option so you can change your photo if you wanted a different photo. So my grandfather, when I click on his photo, you see there's three possibilities. If I just wanted a silhouette, and this doesn't make sense for my grandfather because there's an actual photo of him, but there is his wedding photos. So if we had, if I had a wedding photo for each of my ancestors, then we could make a photo lines of our wedding. So that'd be kind of cool.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be neat?
I love that option. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah. The reason I added the silhouette was because you know how sometimes on WikiTree profiles, if you've added a source like a marriage certificate or something like that, but you don't have an actual photo, that marriage certificate becomes their profile picture sort of by default. And in a photo line, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So this way you can substitute that certificate for a silhouette.
Yeah. For me, it was my fifth great grandmother's Civil War affidavit that she was a widow from the Civil War, even though he never returned. Nobody knew where he was, but I found him. But yeah,
you did.
I did.
Oh, cool.
Buried in Camden, South Carolina.
Wow. So I tested it out with my own. So I added, there's a fan chart. So instead of my face, you get my fan chart. But if you're wondering, well, how do I do that? So you can if you just add more photos to your profile in the images, then they will show up in this list here. Or if you just tag yourself or you tag your ancestor to a photo that's anywhere on WikiTree, go to the image and you add that add that WikiTree ID as a tag to a person in the photo, then the app will pick that up. So you don't have to upload it directly to the profile. It just has to be uploaded somewhere in WikiTree, and you just add the.
Is this printer ready? Was a question.
Is this printer ready? Well, when you go to the next page, once you've customized it the way you want, you go to the next page. The top part there, this is what you would copy that, and there's even a copy button that'll copy it automatically for you, and then
That's copying the wiki markup.
Copying the wiki markup, yes, the wiki text. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go into my own profile again, add that. And I'll show you, where's my edit button? Bing, ding. And did I not go into edit mode? Edit, please. Oh,
you have an uncommitted draft.
Oh, because I was probably doing the exact same thing when I was testing it. So I'm going to put it at the very top of my bio because, like everything, it's my bio is long-winded. So there, it's at the top, that wiki text, all that gobbledygook. And then if I hit preview, you can see what it will look like. There it is.
There it is.
Oh, nice.
I have one on my profile right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Now, the other thing I just added, and this is the second.
Yeah, this is cool. I love this.
The second thing is, if you wanted to put this somewhere else, I've added a box down below, which gives you the HTML code.
So like
else I asked for, he's like a Christmas elf all year round.
So now you can copy and paste this into any web page, into a blog post, anywhere else on the web that you want to show off. And because the default is to add the live links. So if you paste this, if you look in here, there's code. So it'll make a live. So when someone clicks on the link to the person's name, it'll open up their WikiTree profile.
Your WikiTree profile.
Woo!
So another way to promote WikiTree all around.
And what about it being printer friendly? You can cut and paste it. It wouldn't grab the.
What I would say, links. I guess, the easiest way would be to use just to do a screen grab.
Screenshot, yeah.
A screenshot, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it generating a PDF automatically.
You just made Azure exceptionally happy.
Building links back to WikiTree. Yep, that's right. Just like that map.
Oh, that's so funny. People keep asking me to do the social media, Lisa.
Anyways, did I put the link to the photo lines in the chat already?
Someone did.
Good.
Okay.
There we go.
Anyways, that's it. Just the segue was just too smooth to ignore.
Yeah, that was beautiful. You know what? I love that you do all this stuff, Greg, and we appreciate you so much. You've embellished WikiTree so nicely. Thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
You embellish my life so nicely, both of you. And I'm going to talk about some social media stuff right now. Let's see if I can get my screen to share again. Let's see. Present. Share screen. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. Share and add to stage. There we go. What's happening around WikiTree in 2024? Let's see. This is coming up on the very last week. So this is the 27th of April. So nothing happens from the 28th, the weekend chat. That's what is today's date? Today's 27th. So the weekend chat goes through tomorrow, I guess. But otherwise, there's nothing else happening the rest of April. The 29th, 29th, 30th. Yeah, no, nothing else. Oh,
tomorrow,
look.
New members in.
Yeah. Well, I was just looking. There's nothing listed
under activities.
I just thought that was funny.
That is funny.
But there really is. New member Q&A with Betsy Coe coming up on the 28th. On the 30th, WikiTree tours, living relatives, and new invitation system. So if you were watching today or you were watching last week and you still are a little confused about this, check out the WikiTree tours with Aowen, Julie, Betsy, and I've forgotten who else. Maybe
Sandy.
Yep. And then there's the Link Builders Challenge on April the 30th coming up. So that's fun. And over to the social media page on the Ambassadors Project, we can scroll down and check those out. So we want to go to week of Sunday, April the 28th. Randy Seaver takes the WikiTree Challenge. Love Randy Seaver. Love him to death. So if you want to find out more about Randy, who is a big WikiTree supporter and a professional genealogist, check that out. The Cemetery Spotlight is going to be Nimity Bell Pioneer Cemetery again. It got shifted from last week to this week, so lots of love there for that. Question of the week will be coming up. The WikiTree tours, we already talked about it with all of the gang. One Name Tuesday will be Blackwell. And of course, if you want to share any of these, you've got great links going to all of the different social medias. Sorry, I don't mean to give anybody vertigo. Blackwell is the One Name Tuesday Connection Combat. We'll see what it is next week. Holland Marsh, Ontario is the One Place Wednesday. Where is that, Greg?
It's in between Aurelia and Toronto, down the 400.
Cool. Yeah. Project Showcase, One Place Studies is coming up. That's a fun one. And since One Place Holland Marsh, Ontario, I bet they talk about it in the Project Showcase. So the Connection Finder, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Spotlight's coming up. Friday Night Bingo with Sandy Paddock. Women of Science, that's the noon one. And then Historical Notables is the 6 p.m. Meet our members will be posted, and then back with us. Link time. Well, you'll be back with us next Saturday, so not a bad thing to do. Thank you, Eowyn, and for Az and Lisa and Chris Ferriello, all of the people on that team that get this stuff together. What? Oh, look at that. The WikiTree tours. On your left is the Appalachian Project. Boom! Oh, making moonshine again. Chris. All right. So that is your week in WikiTree, and we're so glad that you've been here with us. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for coming by.
Okay.
Bye.